Hi there, I'm John of John's Carnivorous Plants. This is my indoor nursery, and today we're going to talk about what treatments do I recommend for spider mites. Well, I got my primary one here in hand, BioAdvance 3-in-1. This is what I predominantly use for a lot of my pest issues. It is definitely a very good product to have on hand. There's also Bayer 3-in-1, which is very similar. It doesn't have the same active ingredients, but also very commonly found. It does work on various different spider mites and whatnot. And like some of you might be asking right now, what are spider mites? Well, they are very tiny mites. Usually, if you see them at all at the adult stage, they look like tiny little dots. Most often, you'll see their exoskeletons after they molt. So, like you'll see little white, like little white mite bodies or whatever, like little white specks almost. Very similar to like dried sphagnum moss. So if like you've ever replanted your plant and you see like the dry little moss on it. Let me see if I got, I don't have any dried moss on this side. But like as you repot a Nepenthes, you'll often get like little specks of whitish moss here or there. Huh, just realized this guy's throwing off a little basil right there. At any rate, that is nothing to worry about, but spider mites will appear as tiny itty bitty specks. Now, they typically are red in color. Well, that's usually the species that will be predominantly attacking carnivorous plants, but they can come in various other colors as well. There's also things like soil mites and all kinds of other stuff, but those are videos for another day. Now, you'll commonly see them towards the interior, so like on Nepenthes, they'll be on the vine, typically underneath the leaves. Once you start seeing them on top of the leaves, generally means you got a pretty bad infestation. Definitely get some product and start treating. Now, there are two other products I would like to highlight, which would be neem oil and then also Avid. Neem oil is a insecticidal soap that is produced from the neem tree. It's its natural defense against pests. This slows down a bunch of pests by disrupting their egg-laying cycle. And like I think it's actually deal with their thickness of the eggs, and basically makes it so they're easier to dry out. This is not I do not like to recommend neem to people as a treatment for active infestation, because generally at the point that most growers realize that they have spider mites, which is whenever there's a bunch of webbing forming on the plant, hence the name spider mite, you'll be too far gone. And I don't even play around with the neem oil, because you're just slowing the next generation. You're probably not even going to be able to treat and effectively hit all of the mites on the plant. Don't play around. Get a product that actually works, that is a guaranteed miticide. The other product I just mentioned, Avid, is on the complete opposite spectrum. Well, side of the spectrum. Avid is like a nuclear bomb for most, pest issues in carnivorous plants in general. Okay, just even houseplants. It will absolutely destroy mites. I do not recommend this as the first line of defense. Do not just use Avid. Even me as a commercial grower, I do not use Avid like that, mainly because it's just like antibiotic resistant bacteria in the medical field. You keep using something that's really good and effective, the natural pest will become a lot more resistant to it over time. That's why I always go to the BioAdvance and the Bayer, because those products, typically speaking, and the formulation is a little bit different depending on what state you're in, because different states have different pesticide regulations. So always make sure you look in and make sure you're getting a legal pesticide for your state, because there could be some issues there. But generally speaking, those products work great, as opposed to neem, which is best used as a preventative, because as you can understand, if you have like one or two mites finally sneaking their way into your collection, and usually the biggest vector for mite diseases, well, mite problems, is you. Whenever you're coming inside from work or something like that, or like you just did some work in a garden outside, something like that, you generally speaking are going to be carrying mites and other insects that were outside, that basically you brushed up against, and they're crawling on your clothing, crawling on your shoes, etc. And whenever you bring them into your collection, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, this is a nice juicy plant that I'm gonna start munching on. That's why neem best used as a preventative, in the fact that like you just, once a month spray down. It's not very harmful to the plants because quite literally it's an extract made from a tree. And it's a very, very good preventative because it will slow down and basically, in most cases, it will prevent an infestation from starting to take root, because the mites will bite onto your plant, cause a little damage, but whenever they go to lay their eggs, they're going to be, drying out, dying, and you're not going to have to worry about the infestation. Whereas if you have an active infestation, there's mites all over, even not even on the plant, but also like in your area. I can guarantee it, and you are not going to be able to hit them all. Thus, some point around your area, there will be another like little pocket of mites that come up and just overtake and keep on, doing the mighty business. Avid, on the other hand, is quite literally, like I was saying earlier, the nuclear bomb for mite problems. If you have a very large collection like this, yeah, use BioAdvanced and the Bayer 3-in-1 first. Whenever you actually see an infestation, neem is a preventative, so you use it before you ever get it. So yeah, usually if I was to suggest using neem oil, I'd say twice a year, generally in the spring, and then once again towards the end of summer, not necessarily in fall. You want to do it right before the cold weather, if you're in a region like I am that's temperate, where the colder weather will come in, because a lot of the insects from outdoors will want to come into your home. And at that point, that's generally when you'll start seeing more of the mite infestation start taking off indoors, is that there's a lot more things, to act as a vector for the mites to ride in on. But yeah, between spring and summer, you'll see the highest occurrence of pest in general. So you want to treat preventatively before the weather warms up, and then again before the weather cools down. Gives you the best chances of taking care of all of the mite problems. And neem is definitely a perfect product for that. Now, there's all kinds of different products that you can use that are systemics or insecticidal soaps and whatnot. You can go ahead and try those. I personally can't speak to the effectiveness of every one of them with all of the various plants. I can only speak to what I know, and what I know works. So first line of defense, preventatively spray with neem. Second line, BioAdvanced or Bayer 3-in-1. And then your nuclear option, only use if you have an extremely valuable plant that is like, worth $200+ that is pretty much irreplaceable to you, Avid. Because we do not want to use Avid very frequently and risk any kind of resistance being, spread throughout the insect world in terms of pests, because it definitely has a big effect on people like me who are, agriculturally dependent, well, not economically dependent upon the plants. That's a probably, I'm actually going to write that down right now after I finish this video, but that's a good topic for another video, is, pests and how damaging they can be to the economy, and as well as like crops. So it's always very important to try and use less intensive, I should say, pesticides first before working your way up to the more nuclear options. I hope this video has been informative for you, and since it's coming out here probably, I imagine like April, like mid-April, good time if you're seeing this video to just go ahead and get some neem or something, go ahead and spray your plants down, just so you're good to go. And some general application instructions here before I let you guys go is, don't directly hit the traps, generally hit the interior parts of the plant. So let me grab one of these sundews here. So like for this little baby sundew that's just growing, I would focus on the actual center, not the pads themselves, because those are the most sensitive part that will be most likely to be dried out. Always apply any kind of pesticide in the morning, but preferably with carnivorous plants at night, right before the lights go off, or sunset if you're growing outside, because it reduces the chance of the plant getting dried out, or the sun lensing on, or your lights lensing through the moisture that's like dewdropped onto your plants. And I was going to make another point. Oh yeah, if you're using a product outside of the ones I mentioned, make sure you are following the application directions for perennial herbs. In almost every case, carnivorous plants would be considered perennial herbs, and yeah, non-woody perennial herbs. That's what you're looking for in the usage instructions. Follow the directions, because they know better than just Joe Schmo here on the internet what their product is best used for and on how its usage is best tailored for specific kinds of plants. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope it was informative, and I hope that listening to this, you can do some preventative measures to not have to deal with any kind of mites and enjoy your plants the entire year without any issues. It's one of those things that I definitely see quite a bit is that, oh, why do I have XYZ weird growth going on with my plants? And generally speaking, it tends to be mites more than often than not, because most growers don't recognize that they have a mite infestation, particularly on sundews. It's rather difficult to, like, see the spider mites, because they'll be very, very much so like underneath the leaves and stuff that are getting deformed and whatnot, and very rarely will leave their molts out in the open on a sundew. So the signs of a spider mite infestation on sundews is a little bit more tricky to tell. If you have any questions, or you want to pester me and see if I can identify an issue for you, there's a Discord link in the description below. Hop on in, say hi. We also just talk plants in general, as well as a link to my nursery where you can buy some plants and support me. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.